Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 788. I had the white pieces and started off with e4. And my opponent went knight c6, the Nimzowitsch defense. I went d4. And he played d5. You can see there's two main ways of proceeding here with, he played d5. The other way to play it is with e5. And actually, he said after the game that he normally plays this e5 move. He was just experimenting with a different line. But I think he did okay in the opening. Let's check this out. He went d5. So I pushed on with e5. You can also play knight to c3, just holding on to the center with the piece, allowing him to trade. And I guess that's okay. I have to wonder if there's a trick here. Let's check this out. We have time. It's kind of a short game. After knight c3, and he takes, isn't he threatening to win that pawn? Oh, you push the pawn on with d5. Okay, so that's the trick with the knight c3 move. Anyway, but I just play e5. I think it's simpler and leads to a small but noticeable edge for white. Maybe better than you get in other openings. The Nimzowitsch is not the strongest opening for black. And then I just played c3 here. I wasn't sure actually, but he's coordinating or potentially coordinating with his knight and his bishop on c2. So it's convenient to play c3 and just prevent his knight from hopping into b4. And yeah, not only the opening book, but also the chess engine still likes white in this position. Let's see, he went e6 now, main move, and then I went knight f3. So it looks like lots of different moves are possible here. And knight f3 is fine as well, so there's nothing wrong with that move. I'm just playing this like a advanced Caro-Kann, the short system, where you just develop your pieces and castle quickly. You can also play with knight e2 or knight d2. So knight d2 coming here, knight e2 coming here. I guess the idea with knight e2 is that it would jump into g3 and harass the bishop a little bit, but it's a little bit slow. Anyway, all these moves are good for white, including this one. Knight f3 is actually one of the top choices of the chess engine. So he went h6 here. Knight g7 has been played before, but you see we're in a part of the opening book which is basically unpopulated. So let's just look at the notation page from here on out. And yeah, throughout this part, white is keeping that opening advantage. So let's see, he went h6. The idea with h6, by the way, is to give his bishop a retreat square. It also keeps my pieces out of this out of the g5 square, but I don't know if that's particularly significant here. I think the main idea is to allow the bishop to retreat. Let's see. So I could have just played bishop e2. That's also fine, but I went with this pin here because I wasn't sure if these pawn moves. I thought he would unpin because it's kind of an unfortunate pin on that knight. It's a little hard to get rid of. So, and he might enjoy having gained some space on the queen side, but my bishop comes around here to a good position opposing his bishop. And actually the first mistake of the game is this next move, knight a5, although I didn't take advantage of it. So what the chess engine wants to play here, though, with black is it really just wants to trade and then develop. So the knight comes to e7 because the f6 square is not available, but from there it can come out to either of those squares. And white has some edge here just because of the more space, but this should still be quite playable for black. He went knight a5, and the chess engine rates this as a mistake. It thinks I should go ahead and take right away. I didn't. I avoided taking. This doubled f pawn, it's not that weak, and but actually the fact that the e pawn is no longer blocked by a pawn is maybe an advantage to white. He can push on with e6 at some inconvenient moment. But there's no great way to attack the f-pawn. For example, knight h4 could be met by g6, and everything is pretty solid over there. So, it wasn't all that obvious to me that this was going to be a huge weakness. But the chess engine likes this a lot. It says, just keep on playing, castling. Now the rook can come over and get behind the e-pawn. So I think it's this play with the potential passed e-pawn that is the chess engine is thinking is good for white. And knight e7. Also, this knight is out of play. Let's see. And if the knight goes to c4, I can just kick it with b3. So there's no big threat over here on the queen side. Anyway, so that's the way that I should have played it, I guess. He went knight a5, and I just went b3. So I'm sort of preventing him from going to the c4 square. But there was no need for that move. It's kind of a slow move, you know, so I'm preventing him from doing something when I could have just waited, played another move, and if he happens to put a knight on c4, then I can kick it, because it has nowhere to go from that square that's going to cause any big problems for me. So that's why b3 is not so great. Anyway, he played c5 here, which allows me once again to take the bishop, and I once again decline. But that's what, once again, the chess engine here recommends that black should take my bishop, and after this move it recommends that I should take his bishop. But neither of us did that, and I played bishop e3. And this is the point where black has equalized. So now there's no advantage to white at all. So a successful opening for black at this point, although it took a couple of moves of cooperation from my part for him to achieve that. Anyway, so he went ahead and took. So this is all well played here, this section. I take back. He throws in the check. I decided to block with the bishop rather than putting a knight there and having it pinned. And he went ahead and exchanged. And then I took back with the queen. In the game I was sort of debating between taking with the queen and the knight. The chess engine rates them about the same. If you let it think for a long while, it eventually gives a slight edge to queen takes, but they're pretty much equal. Let's see, he goes knight e7, a castle, and rook c8. So with this extra pressure on my bishop, he forces me to take. But I'm taking at a time when he can take back with a knight, so I don't get this pawn structure that we had in the other lines. This is just fine for black. So I'm keeping on developing, and he brings his queen out, piling up a little pressure on the e-pawn. That's a potential target in my position, but it's adequately defended at the moment. I bring a rook over. He castles, and I pushed forward with g4, which is okay, but it's not still nothing that leads to any kind of big advantage. And really, there's only one move for black here. He has to retreat the knight to e7. The thing is, the knight has no other squares, so it's here, here, let's see, where else, there and there. They're all taken, and that's covered by the pawn. So yeah, everything is covered except for this knight e7 square. So he's got to go back there. And then the chess engine says I can play h4, which maybe starts to look like a good attack with black's knight off sides, but it also takes me a while to get my pieces into position to continue the attack. So chess engine gives knight a6, knight e2. I mean, I would still be fine playing this way, but the chess engine says it's about even, so black should be able to defend this okay as well. Anyway, it would be an interesting game, but wasn't the game we played because he tried to counterattack my knight, and there's just a flaw with that move, which is I can move the knight with a tempo on the queen, and there's no way out. So we tried one more tactical trick here. If I go ahead and take the queen, this turns out to still be okay for white. Let's see, he takes my knight, and I'm with check, so king g2, and he gets the queen back, and he is momentarily a piece up, but his rook is hanging, and it's my move, so I can take the rook. And, well, my rook is hanging too. He can take my rook. I take back. And when the dust settles, yeah, the dust is finally settled, and my knight is defended, so I'm not losing any more material here. And so the material is actually completely even, rook and a knight and 7 pawns for each side. But, well, the chess engine likes white here. I guess maybe I have some nice squares for my, cancel that, nice square for my knight there, and my rook is already on the only open file. So I have a slight edge here, but it's a positional edge. Actually, the chess engine thinks it's more than a slight edge, so maybe there's some tactical thing I can do here. Maybe I can invade with the rook and attack this pawn. But, you know, that's a little bit slow. I've still got to get my knight to safety as well before my rook can leave the c file. You know, but if there's a way for me to win a pawn, then it should be a good end game for me. But at the moment, after that sequence. The material's even, and certainly it's a game that black could play on. So that's why it's not so great to grab the queen. It's a stronger move to take the knight. Now I'm just a piece up without all of those complications. And so he resigned at this point. Anyway, it was a fun game, and it was nice to run into someone who recognized me during the game. So anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.